poems, which seemed appropriate for. This is full moon tonight, so we've had some great weather due to it. And yesterday, I was up in Bend, Oregon with my son and his family, and driving down through the snow, it was like, wow, what a great April. You know? So I think this will just speak for itself. Remembering here, returning instantly, pure longing for freedom, blurred and ragged as it may be, being blind and poor, we find another breath. Learn to wait again and again in that place of dis-ease, waiting and waiting, somehow in our own sunshine. Forgiveness, our own home of belonging. Sitting back up the empty hallway beneath the breath, where everything broken returns to itself, reassembles, glued from the horse hooves of the beast of burdens that we are. Fingers unclench. Luminous sky opens. Waiting on the rim of time and body and breath, again and again, walking across any darkness, any territory, any high pass, to find that one heart, your heart, enduring, constant, glued together. Precious life, this one life, confirms our courage. We go forth. So I like that. You know. So tonight I wanted to teach, there's a sutta called the Kalamma Sutta, which was, I suspect it was I don't remember, in the 60s, I read this and it confirmed that Buddhism had something very special for me, you know, and I know that in some ways maybe there was some misuse of it, because again, it's really about the Buddha asking people for inquiry. And the reason that he kind of gave this sutta, it was because there was this village with the Kalammas that were the kind of inhabitants there in this town of Kesapu. And they'd had many wise people come through, many teachers. And so when the Buddha came, they said, well, how do we know what's real in all this? And so he sort of gave the sutta, and it has been translated many ways, different ways. I use this as from a little bit of Bhikkhu Bodhi, but it's really, you know, for me, it was the first thing I realized, oh, you know what, this makes sense to me. Don't go by reports, by legends, by traditions, by scripture, by logical conjectures, by inference, by analogies, by agreement through pondering views, by probability, or by thought. This contemplative is our teacher. When we know for ourselves that these qualities are unskillful, these qualities are blameworthy, these qualities are criticized by the wise, these qualities we adapt and carry out lead to harm and to suffering, then you should abandon them. When you know for yourself that these qualities are skillful, these qualities are blameless, these qualities are praised by the wise, these qualities, when adapted and carried out, lead to welfare and to happiness, then you should enter and remain in them. The Buddha. And I know that sometimes just that single thing is somehow that, I think there was a piece here about, there were three kind of ways of looking at something from a teacher, and knowledge by way of tradition. So don't fall for oral revelation, lineage of received wisdom, hearsay, scriptural authority, logic, inference and deduction, reason or thought, specious reasoning, pondering, experts, teachers, or reputable persons. So it's really saying, you're going to have to rely on yourself to know, in some ways, I think, what is harmful, and what is supportive. And that's really the Kalamma, that was what it was about. And so at that time, of course, there were many teachers that were coming through. They were teaching about rebirth and reincarnation and, my way or the highway kind of thing. And what was so beautiful about this description was the fact that it really said that, just because somebody says it's true doesn't mean it's true. You have to actually investigate for yourself. And this was the thing that I thought, oh, now this makes sense, And, just coming out of the West in the 60s, there was this, I wanted to believe. I think we all do. And so somehow that believing was, that there was some magic behind believing. And the Buddha was saying, no, you better check it out, And if any way it causes some kind of harm or discord or difficulty, then check it out again. That may not be what will be helpful. So a lot of this is really based on I know there's a lot of where in the sutta they use a lot of thing about reasoning and checking things out. But I think that's important, that we come out of a kind of a classical thing is when the Buddha talked about faith, he talked about there were three types of faith. And this was really his kind of the bottom line here. And he said there was a thing called blind faith where, you just go, okay, I don't know, but I'll just believe in it and that's good enough, And then there is also, there's what's known as borrowed faith. And, whatever I say is borrowed faith, because really in some ways, your job is it, check it out, is it true? But how is it true? Does it actually, support a wise and careful and compassionate life, And if so, then good, then follow it, There was I don't know if where I put it now. I have all these pieces of paper, so I'm wearing this mala tonight. It's actually we were trying to remember what the main town in Manang was, but somehow Marciana, even though we were there, I can't remember the name of it. I remember that's happening a lot. All sorts of people's names. So maybe that's just having reached 3/4 of a century and realizing there's only one way this thing's going. And it's a little bit more downhill. So that's all right. It's just, that's the way the mind works. So I wanted to bring this up because for years there, particularly in my early years, I did a lot of mantra practice, and it was really, which is basically a way to, just like this body scan going through the body, it's a way sometimes I got to a point where I could do the mantra and be thinking at the same time, which isn't exactly what you're supposed to do. But it helped in some ways, kind of blocked a lot of the extra thinking that we get caught in. And so, but eventually, I followed all these, both Theravadan and Tibetan Buddhist mantras for, I don't know, 20 years, but I found this old one I used to use. I just loved it, and this one I made up, but I think it was really important, Please open my mind so my heart may follow the Dharma. Please open my mind so my heart may follow the Dharma. Or you could say, please open my mind so my heart may follow the truth, or however you perceive it to be. And it was actually, it was really helpful because in a lot of ways, I was looking at these old traditions. And so they were the things that I used to, in a sense, to clear a lot of my assumptions about how this was, and that somehow that if my faith was that, which was all borrowed at that time, that and the Buddha said, don't, there's one more level of that, and he simply said, no, what we're looking for is verified faith, and that really is about somehow that you have, investigated, you have questioned, you have, I love the fact that it is a reflection, because all of you have, lived your lives, and you've all screwed up, and you've all screwed up, and you come to Dharma with this past that actually exemplifies, whether you took things that weren't yours, or you were, in, unhealthy relationships, or whatever. There was a life there being lived that at the time maybe wasn't a teaching, but then in reflection, then, oh, well, I do need to reflect, because then that kind of clarifies who I am and where I am at this point. And this is the verified faith, that we need to come to, And I wish it was easier. It's almost like, I think there's some people I know, well, no, even that, I was thinking, one friend of mine who I always thought of him as like, I always had to, my description was, a fire, and he stuck his hand in the fire and it burned once, and he pulled it out and said, okay, I got it. I had to put my hand in there 3 or 4 times because I just wasn't, it was like, holy smoke, wait, no, let's try again. Maybe it's not that. And, but now I have learned. And, but it takes, it's like you take the risks and sometimes things don't work. And because of that, then it gives you, really, that's that verified faith, is this comes from your own experience. You understand, why there in the tradition there are the precepts of non-harming, not taking life, of, not taking what's not given, of being really wise or careful with your sexuality, watching your speech. It's like, oh my gosh, and for so much of it, it's really is this sense that you have had to, in a sense, kind of seen the polarity to actually see what you decide is kind of your verified truth or faith, And I can say some of it has to do with age, but that's okay. You have to come to it one way or another, and hopefully with not too much suffering, because every time we kind of go astray, and and then the other one, of course, is, which is a tough one in our culture, is there's instead of the middle path, there's a lot of, abuse of intoxicants that kind of leave the mind in some way. They use the language of heedless and carelessness, and so these precepts are. When I first came to Buddhism, I remember I went, well, no, it just sounds like the commandments, like, oh, here are the telling me what to do, instead of, oh no, these are things I've experimented and come to understand, and therefore I understand the importance of this practice of non-harming, this practice of, it's interesting because I think sometimes anger, which I don't actually deal with too much, but I know a lot of people do. And, there can be, in some sense, righteous anger, but I think it's more damaging than we realize, because one of the truths of it is that it's actually, anger can be quite addicting, simply because that the anger, when someone has that anger, is their world is narrowed down, and they're trying somehow to correct or protect something in themselves or in the environment. So I always thought, well, Suzuki Roshi talked about if someone could have anger and then just kind of let it go. And he said, well, if it could be like that, I would be for it. But it lingers, it has this long reverberation that happens. And the thing, there is an addictive quality about it, because one of the truths about anger is that it has a sense of righteousness. I am right, and therefore, and that righteousness can be very damaging to relationships and to people, and it's not one of the qualities of Dharma. So I think, on some level, when we kind of get that there's a way of looking at the world through these precepts, through our, you can say, our reasoning power. And of course, the Kalamma Sutta kind of questions the questions on some level. And, but I think we're all intelligent enough to have used it in a way that actually can bring some healthy inquiry and somewhat deduction from it, and recognize, as the sutta says, what brings us suffering and what brings us freedom. And I'm hoping that on some level, that what I'm trying to say here is that there is a means which, through deduction and kind of inquiry and understanding, that brings us to the Dharma, and that Dharma has, this, from this mantra, what is it? My mind, please open my mind so my heart may follow the Dharma. Please open my mind so my heart may follow the Dharma. Well, that is a prescription, that somehow that we have to kind of open the mind to, and that is really true, that it has to stay in a way. That's the thing about anger. I was trying to say that it it has to narrow the focus down. So the connection between self and object become very intense, and really doesn't have that openness that is necessary for then the heart to be what is it? The heart is actually, that's the intelligence. We think that somehow we decide things through the mind. Yes, there's deduction, so there's a lot of weighing of things, but the actual thing itself happens in the heart, and that comes from, in some way, us knowing what's happening. So anyway, that's these are minor teachings on the Kalamma Sutta, excuse me. So I want to open it up to questions about this thing about deduction and about, sorry. Precepts about where we find, again, it's this thing, and maybe I'll say the last thing here is that teachers are, it's part of borrowed. It's a borrowed material, and then we have to kind of digest it and find what's true for ourselves, And I think that's one of the problems with a lot of the kind of the cult world of, it's this way, and that's what I liked about that sutta. He didn't say that it was just this way. No, it was about this intelligent heart mind that could then know what's so. So anyway, do you have questions? Please, I see. Oh, Lisa, hi. I see your hand up.
I was thinking about my reality and how small it gets when I just allow the things that are easy and kind and, feel verified, that my world gets very small and I'm not in control of it at all. And I was wondering, well, that's irritating. Okay, if you could speak to that.
I hope not, because I think that when, this is the thing about, it may seem so simple that one breath, one thought, one thing at a time, that there, and it actually narrows life down. I think that, the kind of quote meditative life, it's not speculating much, it's actually just, it's kind of being on this journey that's fairly small. It's not, it's not trying to understand the stars, it's more of like, oh, right here, everything is right here, and there's enough here. So it's actually comforting in some way to kind of sit in this, non-speculative world, but it's also just, you could say as it is, and that's enough. So you're not trying to outthink things, or, in the sense the questioning then may be more than what's necessary. It's really about, can I live moment to moment?
I think my mind wants to be in control of my reality more. But if I just sit back and respond to what's going on, that's more in the Dharma. But then my mind says, oh, but we could do this.
Well, I'm sure that's true for everybody here, that we're, there is, it's like saying enough, this is enough. And there's that, oh, well, there's a little thought there saying, oh, if I had a little more ice cream or I don't know, a little more something, that it would be better. And that's what you're talking about. That's a constant, And so a lot of this, I know it's kind of an overused word, but anyway, I put a lot on it, and it's a word called contentment, and not that it's, contentment can be in difficult situations, but still there it's available to us. And I think that's really a lot of the practice, is kind of finding that even in the midst of sometimes confusion, So, okay, then that's, I know what that, oh, that's just confusion. That's okay. I'm fine with it. So great. It's good to see you, Lisa. Quiet tonight. It's full moon. This is it's a kind of it's a big deal. In the Buddhist world, this is a lot of people fast all night, and they have all these kind of ceremonies and stuff going on. And sometimes we don't even know that it's there, So I send my respect to the fact it is full moon tonight, and that, it's usually about 3 days before full moon that you get kind of strong dreams and stuff. And then it has to kind of hit the apex. And then in this case, is the weather informing us? I don't know. I was thinking, Bill, you're up in Oregon now, right? Or Washington? Yeah. A little different, but it was pretty exciting around Mount Shasta yesterday. April snow showers. So are you all questioned out? I mean, I see Cindy's hand up.
Okay, there we go. Hi, John. Thank you. So this is a question related to the anger issue and selfing. So I had an incident this week where we were just sitting around playing cards with my aunt over at Eschaton, and something happened that somebody else didn't like that I said. And when they came at me, I was like immediately, right? I could feel the irritation coming up. But then what was right in front of me was, I, me, and mine. It was just like myself was right there, so I could see it. So it was kind of nice in that way, because you got to have that self there right in front of your face in order to deal with it. So my question is, but it was one of those situations that really lingered. So as if this separate self was right in front of me this whole time. And it took quite a while for that feeling to dissipate, to go down. And I was just wondering if you had any antidote or any way to look at that self that doesn't really exist like that, and to use that to just evaluate the selflessness of the self that I think I'm looking at. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay,
but
thanks.
a little bit. In that case, the relative self exists.
Mm-hmm.
There is kind of the absolute, and which is not self. And then there's the relative self. And a lot of our defense system is all based on that, I don't know, you would call it little self or whatever. I'd be Suzuki Roshi, the kind of little self that comes up. And the thing is, the antidote to that, you know what it is? It's just loving kindness. It's like you could just, but in those kind of cases, a lot of times it's just sending loving kindness to the reaction in yourself, like, oh boy, that's quite a contraction. And, and you really don't want to, that's the thing, you have a choice. But if you choose not to engage with it, but see it like you were seeing it within yourself, is that it's in some ways it's kind of self-destructive too. And that's where if you can do some, metta, some, and more, I would say more compassion for the defensiveness of the self, though it doesn't exist according to Buddhist language, but it does exist in that particular situation, because whatever kind of boosts it into the foreground, and the universe, the rest of it has disappeared, and along with practice and everything else. But you can bring some of it back, oh, wow, that was and it is a feeling base, so it's turning the attention to what is it about that? There's almost a pain that it is. It's there's almost a painfulness in it, and then we can turn then some compassion, loving kindness to that contraction, because it's a literal physical contraction and condensing of our defense system, and we all have it,
Well,
so-
thank you. That's a good suggestion, because at times I've like sent loving kindness to the person, to kind of turn it around to the person that was irritating me, but to turn, to give the loving kindness to myself. Thank you.
Because that's the reaction is you, not the other person. You can't really control that anyway. Sorry to say.
No.
No matter what you extend to them on some level, unless it's a good word or gift. But the main thing is, how do you reduce that little teeny Cindy that's caught in that emotional reaction? Okay, can I kind of widen it a little? And then if you widen it enough, you can include that other person, Oh, okay. All right. I see. Okay. It's all right. So good luck with that. It's
That's great. Thank you, John.
a tricky one. No, we're tricky. It's not. So anything else that?
Hi, John. I have a comment.
Your guy.
Hello, Sangha. It's nice to see everybody. The faith thing, that's something that's very strong in my life right now, like contemplating, trusting, faith. And I have to say that the one thing I can count on in my life right now is having faith in the present moment. Everything else, I just cannot, it doesn't work. And that's been my mantra now through the chaos, is I can always have faith in the present moment. It's always working.
Fantastic.
So that's my comment. Thank you.
It's a great guy. It's because it's something you always have. You can always refer to the present moment, and it doesn't have any, in some ways, it has no complexity. It's what you lay on it that's complex, not what it actually is, so that's cool. Stick with it. So let's see here. Whoop. This one.
John, would you read your poem again, though,
Sure,
please?
you're very welcome. That's one of the things I like to do sometimes. Some days, some not. Remember here, returning instantly, pure longing for freedom, blurred and ragged as it may be, being blind and poor, we find another breath. Learn to wait again and again in that place of dis-ease, waiting in our own sunshine. Forgiveness, our own home of belonging. Sitting back up, the empty hallway beneath the breath, where everything broken returns to itself. Reassembling, glued from the horse hooves of the beast of burden that we are. Fingers unclench. Luminous sky opens, waiting on the rim of time, and body and breath. Again and again, fingers unclench, luminous sky opens, waiting on the rim of time, body, breath, again and again. Walking across any darkness, any territory, any high pass, to find that one heart, your heart, enduring and constant, precious life. This one life confirms our courage. We go forth. So let's just sit for a moment and please open my mind so my heart may follow the Dharma. Please open my mind so my heart may follow the Dharma. Please open my mind so my heart may follow the Dharma. Please open my mind so my heart may follow the Dharma. So this word, citta, it really translates as heart-mind. It's always interesting to me, my Tibetan teachers, when they spoke of mind, they pointed to their hearts. And so we bring this kind of knowing that we have this power of kind of loosening this structure around the heart mind. Please open my mind. So my heart may follow the Dharma. Please open my heart. And so just bringing that knowing into the center of your being and recognizing the nature of heart. And just expanding. So there is the heart, which is where you can take your attention or your awareness, your mindfulness, and kind of put it in that center. And then expand it out. So it sort of fills the room. So it's not just your body at location, but is the knowing itself. And the breathing in the center of that. And this capacity to extend first, just caring for yourself. May my mind and heart follow the Dharma. And that just extending it out to beings. This kind of the rays of the full moon as we extend this wish to our families and friends and for a lot of the separateness that has been requested through this pandemic. And then from our family and friends, our pets, our home, wherever we call home right now. And then our capacity to extend out to beings, the Sangha, the greater Sangha, that they may find their verified faith for their well-being and for the well-being of all those around them. May beings everywhere, may they find wisdom and great kindness for each other, so that the world may live in peace. And we extend this out to beings, that they may ultimately benefit from our wish for them and our words or actions. And again, if there's any power or energy or merit that is created through our coming together like this, particularly at this particular zenith of the moon, that rays of our kindness and wisdom will benefit others through our collected practice. May all beings everywhere be happy. So I will pass on to Jen.